Have I killed off rosemary? Can I save my basil? What happens if I plant butter beans? And is it time to harvest my mushrooms? This is a bit of a green-fingered episode. Now, this is something I'm learning about in order to get back into Englishness and England, growing your own veg, being at one with the world. And of course, it's not just English. I mean, people do this all around the world, of course. And but in this country, we are more than ever being removed from the land, and we're relying on everybody else providing our food. And this is something I'm desperate to get back into, or even get into, not back into. And on that note, look, I've been doing a bit of drawing. I'm pretty crap, as you can see, at drawing and painting and all of that. But this is supposed to be me, and this is the land. And as yet, there is no land because I have no land. But what I'm doing is that thing about, you know, that thing where you give it out to the universe and you hope that, I don't know how it works, that somewhere someone will come forward and help you. Well, I'm doing that, but of course I'm using YouTube to help me along. So you never know, somebody may come forward with bits of land or something. And so by concentrating my thoughts and doing my crazy drawing, I'm hoping that I can plan out the sort of plot of land and the things that I want to do with it, so that the universe would come back and help me. But more of that in the future. I'm going to do a bit more of the old drawing and sketch work because I've really enjoyed it. But first, before I tell you whether I've killed off my rosemary or not, you may remember I was making soup in the previous video, and I put my basil that I bought from the shop on the windowsill. Well, it looks like it's dying. So I want to see if I can save it. And I spoke to Sean James Cameron, who's a gardener, and he has his own channel. And he said what I should do is to separate some and put them into some bigger pots. So I've got a couple of pots here. I've got some compost that I keep out in the front garden. And there's only a little bit left actually, but I'm hoping there's enough in order just to save that basil, because the soup was delicious and the basil just makes all the difference. Right, so let's make a little bit of space here. We'll come back to all of this. Yes, it's a shame. I understand that basil in the commercial world is forced to grow. I don't know what that means, but one of my viewers, I think Linda Kane, mentioned that it is forced to grow and it's crammed into these little pots so that effectively you get one use out of it. You get it fresh, but it then dies off. But I understand, let's try not to knock the kettle over, that you can save it. So I've got a trowel, and let's dig into this old compost here and see if we can just, it's a bit slimy in here actually, but we're going to shove in as best we can what we've got. Now, one of the things that's actually very, very wet. So one of the things I've also got, I don't know whether this is any good, but you hear people say use it for compost, is a whole load of wood shavings from where I've been chopping wood for the Essie, and I've accumulated sort of dirt and wood shavings and things, and I guess that all rots down. So I may just mix that with some of that before I then try and separate these a bit and shove in a few in here. And isn't there two here? I think that there might actually be three. I didn't pull them out, but I'll give that a go in a sec. Right, I think there's enough of that sloppy stuff. I'm going to get rid of this, and I think I might take my jacket off and get the wood chips. Right, down in this corner, I keep my wood chip stuff, and I think this will make good compost. It mixed in with the other sloppy stuff, so I'm just going to take, actually, there's a bit of big logs in there, or twigs and what have you, but mixed in, I'm going to take out the logs and mix it with the slop, and I think that would be all right. So let's give that a whirl. Okay, I have got the sawdust out, and I've put the compost that I had on the top of the sawdust here. So they, when I separate the basil, it'll go into that first and what have you. Now, I've also made myself a cup of coffee at the same time, so excuse me having a slurp of that. It's also just started to rain outside, so I managed to get this quite right. We've got rain set in for the whole day. Now, I'm not really a gardener as such. It's something that I need to learn how to do, and I've got to try now and separate some of these. I don't know how easy this is, because it looks to me, and I don't know how much you can see, but it looks like the roots are all in here, and I don't really want to tear the roots, but maybe they will repair themselves. So I'm going to just very gently separate the two of this. I've not done this before, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't matter. That's the key thing for me to remember. So I'm going to do these in two bits, and I have got a thing to do it, but I'm going to get my fingers dirty, I don't care, and shove that in there and put that round. Now this soil compost is soaking wet anyway, so I'm hoping that that will be all right in its own right. Now don't worry, I'm not turning into a gardening channel. There's plenty of very good gardening channels out there, like Sean and good old Richard Suggett's Veg Grower podcast stuff. I need that a bit deeper, I think. But as they have told me every time they hear me talking about land, people say, oh Richard, you want to get an allotment because it's baby steps. Learn how to do it on the small scale. Why go for this massive big project? And it's a good question, to be honest with you. Why? And a lot of it is to do with the fact that, to me, it's not just about the gardening and the growing stuff. I need the space because I want to do some quite wacky and zany things that I don't think I could do on an allotment. It's not just about growing. I want to be able to put some structures, some sheds. I would like to dig a dew pond. I want to grow wheat. I want to do a lot of stuff. Now, I haven't got the money to do any of this, but as I said at the beginning, it's about putting the idea into the universe, because I'm sure there are other people who would get on board with a scheme like this, and we'd all come together and do something rather unique and fantastic. But first of all, we have 2 basil plants in here. We'll see what happens. I'll leave them on my windowsill for a bit, but I'm hoping that I can actually put them outside, or maybe they need to go under glass. So what about my rosemary? Let me wash my hands and I'll show you the state. And also butter beans. What happens if you plant them? Right, so the question is, what about the rosemary? Well, here it is. It's taken root. I can feel that it's taken root, and it's not quite dead. So that's quite good. Now what I did do is I put them outside. They were on my windowsill, but I put them outside for a short while, and I think the shock, it's been very mild. If it's really cold, I will bring them back in. It might be cold soon. And now next to this, so I think it's going to survive. It may survive, it may not. So I may leave a few outside. Sean James Cameron says leave a couple outside, leave some in here, because eventually you're going to plant them outside anyway. So it's good that they get used to the environment, especially when it's mild. So I will do that. Probably needs a bit of water, so perhaps I'll put it back outside because it's raining now. I get some rainwater. But next to it, just here, is a little sprout of something, and I was looking at this thinking, what is it? And then I realised I'd planted the butter beans just as a bit of a joke, to stick them in to see what would happen. And one, there was about 4 or 5 pots, and one has come up. Now, I'm not seriously going to try and get a crop of butter beans off it. I was just curious to see what will happen, but I'm going to keep an eye on this little chap and see what happens to him. So it's very nice to see a little bit of growth that I've planted from its seed. So, you know, I don't know what a butter bean plant looks like, so this is going to be interesting to see. Maybe it's a long straggly thing, but there you are. I love it. Right, never mind all that. I'll shove you over there because we have mushrooms. Let's get our Merry Hill mushrooms. These are the chestnut mushrooms, and they are sprouting lovely. I showed you them the other day. They've got much bigger. So I'm not quite sure how we go about that, but I think we've got to take the wrappers off first. But last time I just pulled the shiitake mushrooms out and they came quite easily. These seem a little bit more tough. So when you buy them, they often have a slice on the stalk or the trunk or the stem, whatever you call that bit of the mushroom. And so I'm going to use a knife and I'm just going to gently slice one. But this time I'm not going to take them all in one go. I'm just going to take a few because it's a bit crowded in there, because I'm hoping that the others will grow a bit bigger. So we'll try a couple and see what they taste like. I'm going to get out, there's a difficult one here on the side. There he is. Now these mushrooms are very firm. Let's move this back over there for a minute. Now, apparently what happens is you just take the amount that you want and more will grow back. So they look just gorgeous, I have to say. Have no real smell, but yeah, I'm really impressed, and I'm looking forward to trying one. So I'm going to take the smallest one, I think, because the others I'm going to actually use in some food tonight for my dinner. But let's cut one of these and just see what it's like. Let's get a little cutting board. Here we go. Take our knife, give it a clean because there's a bit of dirt on it, and let's see what it's like. Wow, look at that. It just looks like a mushroom. That's incredible. Look, I grew that. I watered it in a darkened room. That's all I did. I did nothing, really. But it did it itself. But I did remember to water it. That's the key thing. So that's as good, if not better, than the ones you buy in the shops. Is it full of flavour? Oh my goodness. That is really nice. These have got so much more flavour than the shiitakes. I believe the shiitakes you should dry them out, chop them up and use them for soups and things, but these either in butter and on a hob, you know, would be lovely, as I've mentioned before, or in a salad, as they are. They're gorgeous. I am so impressed. I am so impressed. Thank you so much, Merry Hill Mushrooms. That has been a great experience. Loved it. Welcome to my art studio. such as it is. I'm actually in my front room, of course. I used to do a little illustration years ago when I was illustrating my children's books that I had written a few, and I was trying to publish them. And my illustrations were really rubbish. I'll show you some of them. The sketches that I used to do were a bit basic, and I'm not a particularly good artist by any means, but I was slowly getting some sense of proportion, although some of them I tended to draw people far too long and thin. Anyway, that's all by the by. I dug out my paints and stuff again, and pencils, because I started to think about this land project. You know, there I was fiddling with green fingers and trying to sort of grow things and all of that. And my thoughts on having a small farm, or a, what do you call it? What's the name? Holding. Can't think of the term, but a small holding. That's the term. Thanks. And so I thought, or even just a piece of land, but not an allotment. And I know people are going, oh, baby steps, blah, blah, blah. So over the next few weeks, I want to put together my dream farm, small holding, whatever, based on a bit of land. Ideally, I would like perhaps 2 or 3 acres. And now to buy it, it seems in the southeast incredibly expensive and just out of my my budget. So I don't know quite, but I do think that potentially there's somebody out there somewhere who could help. So I know I'm not the greatest drawer, but I thought if I start to sketch out what it is I'm trying to do, maybe in the video somebody will see it and realize that this dream, which is a bit mad, of looking back, of growing wheat and chopping it with a scythe and doing things in the old way and trying to make videos about this, but at the same time growing some produce, might somebody, a farmer who's got a spare bit of land, or somebody who owns a bit of land, or somebody who wants to get rid of a bit of land, they may say, you know what, I've got some land, I'll let you have a play with it for 5 years, see what happens. And I want to be able to build some sheds and various things, but I've got all these plans, and I thought, why not go back to the drawing board, literally, and draw them up, and then share it with you and just see what happens. So that's what I'm going to do. So watch this space. I will get the old pencils and the watercolors and the paintbrushes and all of that, and see if I can present to you my ideas. I may even make a model, who knows. Anyway, thanks for watching this episode, and I look forward to getting out when the weather changes. It's just this winter period is so frustrating. So we'll see how we go, but I still want to get back to Englishness and England and explore in the van and all of that, and of course look at my land project. You can dream, can't you? Take care, thanks for watching. Don't forget to become a patron, support what I do at baldexplorer.com. Leave us a like and all the usual. I'll see you next time. Bye for now. Bye-bye. The land.